Vision Live. That's right. This is Hebrew Vision Live. I'm your host, Mikael Corbin Yahoo. You're tuned into another episode of our campaign, The Voice of the People. Before we begin, though, we will open up with a word of prayer. So we ask that our listeners be in a spirit of prayer, and we will invoke the presence of our Master and our King. Hallelujah. Yitgadal va yitgadesh shemei rabah, v'amadi v'ra kerute v'yimelech malchute, v'chayachunu v'yamichunu v'chaye de kol beit Israel, bagala uvizman kari v'yimeru. Amen. Yehi shmei rabba maborach le'olam u'me'amaya. Yit barak v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar v'yit alei v'yit halal shemei dekudesha berechu. Le'ela min kol barachata b'ashirata tush bechata b'nechmata damiran ba'ama v'yimeru. Amen. Sanctified and enhanced may he be throughout the world of his own creation. May he cause his sovereignty soon to be accepted during our life and the life of all Israel, and let us say Amen. May he be praised throughout all time, esteemed and celebrated, lauded and worshipped, acclaimed and honored, extolled and exalted may the Holy One be, praised beyond all song and all psalm, beyond all tributes which mortals can utter. And let us say Amen. Hallelujah. So, I want to thank you all for tuning in to Hebrew Vision Live, Voice of the People. We have a powerful sister on the set with us this evening, and we are calling this podcast A Touch of Class with Sister Nasonya Rowell. Did I say that right?
Close enough.
Okay. I want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And you're called the Classy Lady.
Yes, sir.
So why are you called the Classy Lady?
Well, I could just tell you, but I'm going to read something. Is that okay?
That's wonderful.
Okay, and then I'll just be natural. I did a post on Facebook. I do posting, and I'm trying to get into blogging, and it's called, the latest one, Why Do I Call Myself the Classy Lady? I'm just going to read what I wrote. I call myself the classy lady because I don't want to be seen as anything less. There is such a lack of modesty in the culture today. So many women believe that every outfit they wear should show everyone what they're working with. They in turn wonder why men have the wrong impression of them. I want to show the world that you could be sexy but not sexual, that you could be classy and tasteful and still rock an amazing outfit without showing all your God-given assets. I believe in leaving something to the imagination and having a little mystery about myself. But I haven't always been this person. In the past, I wanted a man to notice me for the wrong reasons. I didn't realize that not all attention is good attention. Now when a man looks at me, I want him to see me, not my breast. You can't stop certain men from being distasteful and disrespectful, but the quality men will see a lady and know how to approach and treat her, and not in the wrong way. Well, basically, that's the gist of it. There's more there, but I want to be seen as a classy lady. I come from a pretty dark past, and I haven't always gotten respect or respected myself. I've had self-esteem issues in the past, and now that God has given me new life, what is the scripture? Therefore, you're a new creature in Christ. Old things have passed away. Right, so that's something he's been working on me with, is building my esteem, building my love for myself and my value, and not basically dressing as a sexual object. And at the end of it, that's what I said. I don't want to be a sexual object. I love being sexy. I don't ever not want to be sexy, but I believe there's a difference. So that's what the classy lady is about. It just came. That's I want to be seen as classy.
Understand. So you're from Kansas City.
I am, born and raised.
Okay. So how has Kansas City molded you in terms of your experiences here? I'm sure you've traveled as well, but growing up in Kansas City, how has that molded you into being who you are today?
Gosh, it sounds bad, but I love Kansas City because it's small and you can be a big fish in a little pond. But at the same time, it's small-minded, I feel. And I feel like probably unlike the South or certain other places, it's really a subtle form of racism. So I feel like honestly, if I were a different person in a different part of the country, I probably would have been more successful. But because I was in Kansas City, I faced a lot of prejudice and persecution and just small-mindedness. And I think that that on top of already being an insecure person kind of stunted my growth and limited me from trying to be more because I felt like I couldn't be more because I was told so often that I couldn't be more. I was often told, well, sadly enough to say this, but I was never raised racist, but I felt like from being here, I learned what racism was in the sense that I was told when I modeled, I was told we already have our black girl. They really said that kind of stuff to you, or you would be in some kind of nothing big, but some small event and know you did really well, but you weren't the winner. And the winner always looked the same. But that's probably because of some of the outlets and avenues I worked in. And then later on, when we talk a little bit more about my past, even that working certain jobs where I had been the first black woman and I think different people hadn't really been exposed.
Right. So you talked about some very interesting things personally first. You talked about, how at one point in time you were seeking a type of attention early on in your life as opposed to now where you are. You talked about your challenges with self-esteem, love for self. What were some of the tipping points that caused you to really shift from, seeking the wrong attention and seeking for love in the wrong places and not having self-esteem to now being in this?
Well, God for me, but I don't want to sound simplistic though. I just know I was really unhappy when I came to the end of myself. Probably I was about 28 or so, and I was just really tired of being rejected, being left, being unhappy. And I was confused. I didn't understand any of it. I didn't know why it was happening. I didn't know what to do about it. I just knew that I was tired and I didn't want those things anymore. And then I started getting into a deeper relationship with God. And then I just started seeing some people that I felt were sincerely seeking Him. And that's something I had never seen before. And I saw some guys. God is so funny like that, how He can bring some people that look just like your other people, but they're nothing like your other people. They just talked about women and they talked about respect and honor and God in a way I had never had. And I just knew I wanted that. Right. And I knew I didn't have it. So I started pursuing that. And I just had to face some really, really dark, painful truths. And from there, He started building me. But it was a long process. It was a long, I always knew though, even though I wasn't ready, I always knew I wanted to help people as I was coming out. I wanted to help people that were from where I came from or thought how I thought. And then as I healed, it just became about self-esteem. I didn't realize I didn't have self-esteem. I didn't even know I didn't I just knew I was in pain and unhappy and being rejected a lot by different people, whether it be dating or regular relationships, and I was just over it. So maybe I did this like total 360, and as God has healed me, I'm like, I don't take that. But I didn't know what standards were. I didn't know what respect was. I didn't know what any of that was. It wasn't like I was ever raised around it. Not putting one down, but wasn't raised around it, and I didn't know about it, and I wasn't receiving it. So
Right. How important was mentoring in that process for you? Or was that even a part of your process?
Yes and no. It wasn't a part of my process as far as physically really having a mentor in person, but mentoring most definitely from TV in the sense that like where people watch TV and I feel like that mentors them now. I was watching a lot of Joyce Meyer and Christian television, and then I would go to a lot of the different Christian concerts, and that's where I heard the men talk about things I'd never heard before. I saw the women that were dressing like I've learned to dress, who were dressing cute and sexy, but wow, their boobs weren't hanging out. Wow, I mean, this skirt didn't stop right at the end of the butt cheek. It was it was like, wow, because that was something that was so impressed on me that I didn't want to be anymore because I had stopped messing around. I wasn't having sex. I just was totally changing my life, but I didn't know how to do that or what that looked like. So the people that I saw that I chose to identify with really did it. I looked for real mentors, but sadly enough, I really never found one.
Right. Interesting. So you talked about your past somewhat. I want to touch there before we move forward,
Okay.
just briefly.
Okay.
And I want you to compare and contrast your social life pre and post your coming into faith and being more modest and having more love for yourself and self-esteem and standards. Like, just in gist, you don't have to get anything in depth, but just like compare and contrast, like what your circles were like. You see what I'm saying? So people can get an idea of where you had to come from, what you came from, what you came through to where you are now.
Well, I worked in a lot of bars, and I worked in a lot of kind of dark sexual circles where I think people just kind of looked at you sexually and identified with you sexually. And I always hung out with a lot of rock and roll bands. Literally, I mean, I've been friends with a lot of people in whether it be non-popular. I've also known a lot of famous people, and I've dated both. And I think I just saw all my friends were just so sexual. I mean, that was just a normal part of life is having sex with people and not really learning any kind of foundation about it. And then, like, I don't know, just like a good example, I worked at Hooters once. That only lasted like a week or two. I hated it. And it was funny because I've worked in much worse places than Hooters, but, it's like that statement. Have you ever seen Pretty Woman? Okay, so there's that part in Pretty Woman where Julia Roberts is at that horse show or whatever, and she's in those, like, regular clothes, and that guy comes over to her and propositions her, and she gets really mad, and she didn't know how to handle it, and she goes back to Richard Gere, and she goes, I could have handled that if I had my street clothes on. I would have seen that coming. I would have known how to deal with that. But here I am all ladied up, and I didn't see that coming, and it shocked her. So it's like, just like when I was in Hooters, it really bothered me because I looked at that like, I guess I was stupid. Like a regular, it was kids coming in there. Men brought their little boys in there a lot, and I think it was like an indoctrination to a strip bar, kind of. I didn't know. I didn't know, but I was bothered by it mainly because I was talked so disrespectfully to. I had tons of guys coming up to me, propositioning me all the time to go in the car. It would mainly be different white guys coming up to me, assuming you just don't know it. Oh, you want to go have sex in the car with white? And
just blatantly that forward.
Yeah, and so I was really bothered because at that point in my life, I had went there because I was trying to get away from the bars. And I asked the different girls, they were white. I was the only black girl. I was the only black girl. Yeah, I was. I was the only black girl. This is like 99, 2000. So quite a few of the places that I worked at, I was the only black girl. And it was crazy because they would tell me that they hired me at these different places because I was pretty. And if more black women looked like me, they'd be open. But basically they were saying they don't find black women attractive, but I was.
Right.
And so
they told you that.
Yeah, I've had people tell me that. I've had people tell me that. At one of my bars I worked at, that you know what I'm talking about, we had myself and two other girls. They were light skinned, and not to offend anyone, but some of the other women of the lighter persuasion were not attractive and were not classy, but they didn't have that same stipulation put on them. You know what I mean? And so, and I'm like milk chocolate. I'm little chocolate. And so, but yeah, they would say that I was real pretty, and they hired me, but they did not hire as a whole. And so, anyways, I went and I asked the different white women at Hooters. I said, does anyone talk to you like this? And as a whole, I got no. So I felt very disrespected because I was like, oh, so people are disrespecting me. I'm not making enough money to put up with this crap. Right. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm used to a little more cash. You want to talk crazy to me. And so I was bothered by it, and I left because I just did not want to deal with that. Yeah. And I did not go there to deal with that, but I had dealt with stuff like that my whole life, is men talking to me like that, coming up to me like that. But the main thing, again, that bothered me, I think that hurt me, was the fact that I got talked to like that and got told I was less than a white girl.
And how have you internalized that over the years?
It wounded me. It broke me because it was in, so many different parts of my life that happened. It would be at these bars. It would be when I was in modeling. It would be even when I was dating, I mean, here I am, because I know you probably don't believe I dated hardly anybody black. But when I used to, I've dated everything. I just find that now I realize I've always liked everything. I dated a lot of black guys, and then they always were cheating on me with either a mixed girl or a Mexican girl or something, and that turned me off because without divulging too much, that on top of when I was working in the bars, I would watch them not give me any money, and they turn around and give all these other women, and then I'm like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? So that kind of gave me a bitter taste in my mouth, period. And I was just even talking with my friend yesterday, Nails, about that because without going into on this because I struggled with now when I'm dealing with people, even though I'm healthy. It's like, do they think they can disrespect me because I'm a black girl? Because I didn't sit there and see them do that to such and such, and that doesn't mean. So I asked him. I said, I got to figure out a way how to differentiate truth from what's a trigger. Because yeah, it definitely has impacted me, and I think that's why I also fight so hard now to not let anyone tell me I'm less than.
Right.
And you still get that. I still get people who clearly aren't attracted to me, but are attracted to some of my girlfriends that are white or Hispanic or something like that because they feel that and that's fine. That's fine. You know, I mean, but as a whole, I don't have a huge problem with that, but I do know financially and different things I even do steal that there's a smaller window for me. Right, okay. And it's just the reality, but I don't give up like I used to.
Okay. Fight.
I fight.
Yeah, awesome. So let's talk about now changing pace.
Change pace.
In your process of self-discovery, your journey to spirituality and your healing process.
Yeah.
Like, walk us through some of that process for
us. You want to give me a specific question?
Because
that's a lot of words.
It is. Like,
get me started.
What like initiated your self-discovery? Like, this is who Nasonya is.
Yeah.
I'm accepting who I am, despite what people, relationship-wise, they may say, oh, you're different. You know what I'm saying? You're not like all black girls or, that comes from black men, white men,
Yeah.
Talk about your process of self-acceptance.
That's a good question. I thought about that. I don't know when it happened because, as I started just realizing, okay, this is what it is, and I tried to do different things, and I was like, you know what? I don't like that. And I remember specifically praying to God, saying, God, help me with this because this is who I am, but I don't know if I even believe there is such as a non-racist person. So help me. So I remember the catalyst being I fell, not in love is not the right word, but in love with this band DC Talk and Toby Mac. And he was just such a different, going back to that whole mentor thing, not in the natural, but he impressed me so much. And I got a chance to meet him and even tell him that he impressed me so much. And watching him and hearing him and knowing that really was what he did, bringing races together and seeing people really that way, that was a start. And then I just started seeking out more positive, seeking out people who thought more like I thought or didn't. And I just got stronger. And then just going to church, reading my word, just being me, I just got stronger. And then even though my sister told me one day, she said, you showed me that you could like what you want to like. And as I just start being me, I just started not caring so much about who thought what, because I realized this is what I like. I can't help it. I mean, it was like, well, it's funny because people think I'm not remotely like some kind of like culturally, I don't know where I belong person. I very much am very black, and I know it. I just like certain music and certain things, and I'm at peace with that, and I'm not at peace when I'm trying to be in things I don't like. And so people that know me, I've got a lot of support, but I got a lot of people who are like, why are you like that? That's weird. And I just have finally gotten to the point where, okay, it's weird to you, but it's not weird to me, and I just accept who I am, period, all across the board. Even just what I said about the clothing. I take just as much heat for that as anything else because people are like, well, who do you think you are? You know what I mean?
Right.
Trying to judge me, but these are the things that I've just a little at a time accepted. This is who I am. This is what I like. This is my path. That's where I want to be, and it gives me strength.
Right. So what got you into like rock music?
That's an easy one. Oh my gosh! You know what? I always liked everything, and I always liked '80s music. Mm-hmm. Like I would listen to Michael Jackson, but I would listen to Billy Idol too. I liked it all. And then in 1984. Jump by Van Halen came out, and I thought I kind of like that song too. But what happened is, one day in 1986, I already know, but I liked other things before that because I used to love Menudo when I was 13. I know they were great. Didn't even know what they were saying, but anyway, but I was at home watching MTV because back in the day they had videos. Right. And this band came on called Cinderella. And they had this song called Nobody's Fool. And I watched that video, and I can't even explain it. I fell head over heels in love.
High hair and everything.
Loved it. And I went after that with a zeal. Literally, I started watching the videos, and then they came to town with Bon Jovi.
Oh, wow.
And back then, we had record stores and records, you know that. And I caught the bus, 2 buses out to Independence to meet them. I never turned back. I had so much fun at the concert. Honestly, I think a lot of it, too, is because at that point, I started having some friends, and I felt like in high school, and I felt like they accepted me, and I loved the music, and they treated me differently than I had ever really had. And I had a couple girlfriends, and they just, I started listening to it with them, the Bon Jovi and the Def Leppard and all that, and I just fell in love with it because I think I found a kind of a feeling. It was false on a lot of levels, but a feeling of acceptance that I had never had before. Yeah. Some of the guys made me feel attractive. The girlfriends loved that I loved the music. And I think I found a home that I just never had before.
Wow.
Yeah. And that I never looked back after that. I had so many people I was hanging out with. I was hanging out with the rock and rollers. I was going to concerts. It was a lifestyle. I was living really a dream that a lot of people want to live, hanging out, partying full time. The way I had a lot of fun. So, I didn't realize until later on when things started getting kind of dark. But I was also introduced to prejudice then because there would be some people I would go over their house and they would say that word, you know what I mean? Don't bring her back. Or I would go out with some people and some people would say that word. Don't bring her back. You know what I mean? And that's when I started.
These are men saying this?
People's families, people's friends. Yeah. I mean, so I learned that too. It was a lot of people not like that, but that's where I started seeing.
Right.
Yeah. So I loved it though. The good about it I loved. The bad, not so good. But the good about it I loved.
Indeed. So relate that to your journey to finding your spiritual walk. You see what I'm saying? What are there any similarities?
Yeah, because God knows what you like and need, and He knows how to bring exactly what you need. So one day I'm sitting at home and I'm watching Joyce Meyer and I'm watching Christian television, and I see these videos come on, and these guys were cute, and they were rocking out, but they were singing about something else, and I was like, what? And I was seeking healing. And I remember the first time, before I get back to that, I remember being so confused about the world. And back then, Pastor Westlake from Sheffield, Pastor Westlake, not the new dude.
Emeritus.
He was on TV with his wife on a TV show back then, and I was so confused. And this is the kind of stuff you do when you're confused. I remember seeing them on TV, and I just picked up the phone and called, and they talked to me, and that was probably a good start. And there was somebody else that's on TV, and Joyce, and then I just started being into it. But what God knows how to do is He brought those rock and rollers. There was these bands. It was DC Talk, and there was a band called Audio Adrenaline. And when I saw them and I heard them, I was hooked. And I just started wanting that. I was like, wow, I never had guys talk like that to me before. Wow, I've never heard people talk. And I wanted it. And so I started following that and getting into that. And I had so much fun because I started going to festivals and stuff. And it was just a whole different environment. It was just such a healing I felt different, and it was really odd because I met a lot of those guys, and they didn't look at me like a pork chop. And I'd never experienced that before. It was actually uncomfortable because I didn't know how to behave. I didn't know what to do because I wasn't used to that. I felt very invisible.
Wow.
And I wasn't used to that. But I kept doing that, and I kept pursuing that, and it kept changing who I was and what I wanted. And I started feeling, I don't know, whole and like I wanted something different. Even though I wasn't getting something different, I wanted something different. So I only pursued that for many, many, many years. And then God started letting me come out of that again, you know. So once I got healed and healthy, I started going back because I didn't listen to any of that stuff for years.
Wow. Interesting. So your relationship statuses. Let's talk about, because that's something that, you know, we've spoken sometimes. You have a very unique, I won't say unique, but a very powerful relationship witness in terms of your status and even the duration of your status.
Oh, that! I don't know if I've ever said that to anything other than a couple people, but okay, we can go there.
I think that's something, if you're comfortable with it.
I'm comfortable with it. Might as well.
You know what I'm saying? The transition, you know, because like you have standards that you didn't have at one point.
Sure do.
And just kind of, you know, touch on that.
Okay. So I think he's talking about the fact that I don't have sex. I'm abstinent. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, just single. Just
singleness.
But if you want to talk about that,
singleness and abstinence are two different things.
Not for everybody.
Because you can be single and having sex with different people, and to me, that's not the same. But I get it because I was single, looking for love and having sex with people, but I stopped, let me do the math now. I stopped in I'd say 1999, because it was like the very end of 1999. And at that time, I stopped for different reasons. At that time, I stopped having sex because I was scared that the world had gone crazy. Because I was with a guy, and a guy hit on him. And I was like, what the heck? And I said, I'm not trying to get diseases here, and you know what I'm talking about. So at that point, I stopped for that, and because I wanted more. I didn't know what that meant yet, but I knew all I had been doing was having sex with people. And oh my God, it was horrible. There were so many, just disrespect. And I'm still single, and I'm having sex with people. And I would see them with other people that they never told me about. And all kind of things. So I stopped having sex. That's shortly after that is when I got into God. I didn't stop having sex for God. I stopped having sex because I wanted more. And I wasn't getting fulfilled in these sexual relationships. And then after I got into God, I realized that he didn't want me having sex. And I thought, oh, snap. Wasn't planning on going this long. But, you know, then I thought he'd probably give me somebody a long, long time ago. But that didn't happen. And then after, you know, for a while, I just didn't want to. And then after that, like I said, it was God. And now I'm at the point, it's still God, but it's like now that I'm back into dating over the last couple of years, very sporadically. I don't date very much at all. I realized I really wasn't even ready at different points because I wasn't ready for the game that was out there. Because I'm not the same person mentally that I used to be. So I'm like looking for stuff. And the thing that probably saved me was the fact that I wasn't having sex, because even though emotionally, emotionally and all that, I really wasn't strong yet. I didn't know how to be with someone without messing around. I'd never done it before, but I knew I wasn't. So with that being said, that kept me from doing anything because I knew I wasn't, and I knew I wanted more, and I knew. So a lot of people left. A lot of people tried stuff, and then they left. But you know, the biggest shock for me has been how disrespected I have been. I didn't see that coming because I even wrote that on a post today that the saddest thing that in my mind is that when I changed, I thought people would be changed towards me. And I didn't realize that they still were who they were. And they don't care. So many people don't care. And so I had this one guy, it was so crazy. I met this guy. And ladies, don't think because a guy pursues you that means anything. As sad as that sounds, I've had guys do elaborate things to get my attention, and it meant absolutely nothing. So this one guy that I'm thinking about right now, I met him at a gym, like Hillcrest or something. That might be where he works. Sorry, peeping you out. And and he called me, and he was like teaching my little cousin at the time basketball, and I thought, okay, because I had some wounds from different people, and I thought I actually was so insecure. Let me put this out there. For years, I was so insecure that I looked for stupid things to believe. Oh, well, maybe this guy will act right because if he's a black guy, just stupid stuff. If it was a white guy, well, he's dated a black girl before. I don't want to mess with someone.
So just justification.
Well, it would make me feel like, yeah, maybe they would act right. Okay. You know what I mean? Whatever the situation was, But if it were a white guy, that would be. So this guy, he thought he was kind of black. That's the whole point. I didn't like him. But I thought,
the white dude?
Yeah, this guy. And he worked over at the gym, and I thought, okay, well, he knows black. He's used to being around black people. It's not the same world. Because at this point, you have to understand, I'm in identity crisis mode. Before, I've been this rock and roll girl, blah, blah, blah. Now I don't know who I am. I'm going to church. I'm not this person anymore. And people are telling me, why do you date this person and that person? So I'm just kind of trying to date people, and I don't know who I should be dating or what. But this guy he was a scrub, as TLC says. And let me tell you why. Because this guy, literally, this is so funny. I haven't said some of this stuff out loud. This guy comes over to my house with some Chinese food that he probably scraped off the bar from somewhere, whatever. And then he proceeds to try to just put his hands all over me. I'm like, no. And so after that, he literally, I don't remember the specifics, but he literally said to me, and this was step number one, I didn't learn yet. He goes, well, you're like the 99%. He knew who I was as far as having standards and not letting him do stuff. He goes, you're like the 99% of the women that I don't care anything about. And if you're not going to have sex with me, don't waste my time. This fool said this to me.
That's crazy.
And it's so funny because, again, this is the difference between who I am now and who I was then. I was very hurt over this. I still kicked him to the curb. I was very upset and confused and so that loser, I saw him at the mall 2 months later. He couldn't keep his eyes off me, and I didn't even acknowledge that he existed. But this is the kind of, and I asked him. I said, "Why are you talking to me like this?" Because see, I was stupid. Naive is a better word. I didn't know people were like this. And then I find out he has this other girl that he likes, that she wouldn't be with him. So that's when I learned there are guys out there who aren't over someone, who are out there victimizing other women. Now he didn't act right with her. That's why he out there. Because he didn't want to get married, but at this when I learned it, and I said, well, why would you do that? Well, I'm not going to sit at home and just be at home if she don't want to be with me. I'm still going to be out here. Oh, but see, this is not, so that hurt. So I dealt with a lot of this kind of stuff for years, but the great part is I had a couple people tell me that I was a witness to them that I had standards. I didn't feel like I had standards, but I guess still compared to other people at that point, I had them. So I've gone through a lot of that kind of stuff, and so now I feel good because I told myself this is the first time that I don't give anyone something they don't earn. And what I mean by that is my emotions. Because I still was giving too much, investing too much in people that had not earned it. But I don't know if they know what that means, a lot of people anymore.
Right. That's deep. So 99, 2006, 17, 18 years, right?
I didn't say. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. But I was going to say, talk about what you have done to endure that amount of time, because it's like you already experienced it, and so now it's off the market or off the table for you. And it's like, how do you keep from putting yourself in situations that would even bring that about, and then just having the discipline to go that time?
The discipline, honestly, shockingly, wasn't as hard as it sounds, because I wanted something else. And that was my focus, is I wanted something else. Right. And I think God really didn't even allow certain people or things to stick around so that I wouldn't even be in the situation, because I think he knew he had that for me.
Do you feel like your desires have been molded and shaped by the Father to really get you in a better place? Do you feel like that also was something through prayer? You know what I'm saying?
I did. I had my moments, but I had to be delivered. I'll just put that out there, not in a horrible way, but I was delivered from pornography because before I got saved, I used to watch pornography on TV. I started watching it when I was like 15, maybe earlier, really, because I used to watch that Skinamax After Dark. Loved it. Oh, I loved it. But then I got into a little bit harder stuff as I got. But I know that was all me seeking something that I wasn't getting, and so I think that's been my sustaining force is that I wanted something that I knew I wasn't getting from these men. And then when I started dating those couple people that I dated, they were so ratchet. Like that guy I just told you about. And it was like, when he's trying to put his hands on me, I'm like, this isn't what I want.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then I dated this other guy who I shouldn't have. He was my boss. I didn't like him at all. That's when I knew I hit a low. I was like, why are you doing this? Because I was lonely. There were points we're on the journey where I was lonely because I was praying and wanting like this type of man that I was seeing when I was going to these shows, and I wasn't getting it. And on top of that, many of them were married. So I started trying to date, but again, they were also ratchet. They were all just like trying to use me. But that helped me to not need. I didn't even honestly think about sex when I was going out with these guys, and it didn't last long enough to me have to kick them out. What happened though is I did meet this one. Well, I didn't meet him. I knew him already. I went out with this one guy, and I was kissing him and stuff, which getting further than I usually let it go. And I was like, that was a good thing. I was like, nope, nope, nope. And again, it was my boundary that I had put in place because it was empty, it was shallow, and it wasn't what I wanted. And I really didn't think about it. Honestly, I just started thinking about it recently, and I think that's a good thing because I actually prayed about it, and I was like, God, I don't even know how to like deal with people anymore. So like help me in this area to see what's out there, see what's going on, because I'm so far removed from the regular dating, sex, all that. So, I was watching stuff on TV, and I was like, the desire was there in a new way, but at the same time it wasn't, because it was like, I knew from going out with the last guy that I was going out with, that was a really good lesson, because that really was opening my eyes the whole time I was dealing with him to why would I even think of giving myself? I waited so long to someone. They don't deserve this, because I wanted to be at this point now so far removed. I know that I want it to be special, and I don't feel like that can happen whether it's easy for me or not, without it being in a certain context.
Right.
Which for me is marriage, and that's gonna be hard.
Right.
But I see too many people who get together and they think they're going with someone 3 months, 2 years, whatever, and then it's done. And I feel like dating now has a concept of, which it may have been like that too before, I don't know, but give me everything I want, and then I'll decide if I even want to be your boyfriend. People think you're like going to go out on a date with them and have sex with them, or all these women giving all they got and they don't even have any defined relationship. Or even if they do, their idea of commitment and mine is just completely different. So back in the day, living with someone would have seemed like a commitment to me. It's not anymore. It's simply not. So at least if I get into a marital commitment, if it doesn't work out, at least I tried. At least I tried, you know what I mean? But I'm not going to just, I'm going to go mess with this guy for a year after waiting all this time, and then I'm going to go mess with this guy for a year. That's not what I waited for. So even though it's hard, it's not what I want. You know what I mean? Not to pressure it.
So you've taken all your experiences, and now, you have some outlets that you're using to voice your experiences.
Yeah.
Talk about that. What are you doing social media wise in terms of, some of your ministry that you've actually, put into place?
Yeah, it's really weird because first of all, before I started getting into this, I started hanging out with my rock and roll people again. I started learning how to be around people that maybe don't share my belief, but still know how to hang around them and relate to them, because I come from a lot of the same things that they come from. I just don't want what they want anymore, and I just don't behave and like they behave. And so I feel this is my ministry. Some people may not look at it as a ministry, but I feel, first of all, just being around different people is a ministry, walking differently than they do. But then now, you saw some very old videos I made. I used to sit in front of my camera on the computer and just start talking. And everything that you and I just talked about, I would get in front of my camera at home and talk about stuff. I would just label it standards in dating or why you wait or whatever.
Right,
and I would just get in front of my camera and talk. And then about a year ago, I started writing little posts, but I was so lost and no focus, didn't know what I was doing, but I just started doing it. And so now I've discovered that I never thought I could, but I feel like I can actually write a little bit. And it's just like a musician or a poet or something. I don't know because I never had this gift, but it just flows.
Yeah.
It just flows. And I feel like it's so awesome because it's like I'm penning and speaking my issues and my pains and my struggles or my whatever. Because I still go through them. I mean, I model, and I guess I can officially call myself a talent now. You know, I modeled when I was younger, and I did some things too. But now I just had that Sprint commercial, and then I did a big spread for the Hard Rock Casino in Sioux City. So I guess technically, I'm officially a talent. So now, like, I have a lot of following that I didn't have before, and it's really awesome because honestly, this is crazy, but none of the people I knew before supported me at all, and I honestly feel like there's a degree of jealousy because these are a lot of the same people that sent me packing in the first place. They never had any good for me. I just didn't get that, and so now a lot of the people that are supporting me and putting stuff on my blogs and posting I don't even know them. I don't even know them personally, but some of them are very encouraging, and it's awesome because I get told a couple times a week now that something I wrote or one of my posts really inspired someone or encouraged someone. That's like really weird and surreal to hear that.
Right.
But yeah, I'm blogging, I'm posting. I finally, after a year and a half, decided to call myself the classy lady. And a lot of that's because, like I said, I'm not that person anymore. I don't want to be compared to that person. I don't want to be treated like that person. I will not accept that type of thing anymore. But it's still a learning experience because I still have to go through stuff and go, nope.
Right.
You know, you disrespected me. I'm letting people disrespect me again. Nope.
Yeah. Powerful. So, your platform, right? You talked about there's some good feedback, and I know today, we had a conversation at work earlier, and you want to touch upon your most recent. Well, I think that may be something that's, the people who are dating, you're dealing with the idea of, let's say they just come out of a relationship, so the idea there's all kinds of fish in the sea, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you had some reflections on that. I mean, what were your reflections on that?
Let me pull that up. So what he's talking about is we were talking in the office, and it's so odd because I just never seen myself as this creative type person. And I went out with two guys this summer. One I didn't like, so I didn't care when I had to let him bounce. One of them I did, but he just never would treat me right. So why did I like him? But so I was told there are plenty of fish in the sea. That's what people always say, that plenty of fish in the sea. And so I'm going to read a little bit of what I wrote because, that is what everyone says. I said, there's plenty of fish in the sea. This is such a common expression. This is one of my blogs. But how true is that really? If it's so true, why are there so many people out there searching for someone to share their life with? And if that's the case, no one would be single unless by choice. I can only speak for myself, but I'm looking for a certain criteria in a mate, and I believe many people are. When I look at the needs and desires, that starts to narrow down the pool of men immensely. I have certain standards and values that I live by. Most of us know what we find physically attractive, but many people have never stopped to think beyond that. Some people say that they want a person with a nice personality. I used to think that, but now I realize that a person can be nice and still have bad character. Personally, I want a person of integrity, strength of conviction, and substance that I can respect. They show that they have a solid, reliable, They show that they are a solid, reliable person that has strong values, and that includes our relationship, and they will do the work needed for that relationship to flourish. You can't sustain a relationship if you aren't on the same page with your needs and desires, or if you leave every time you don't get your way. There has to be a respect and selflessness. Sex is a powerful part of a relationship, but it will not sustain it. If you don't know or don't like the person beyond sex, it is destined for failure. You need to know what your deal breakers are so that you can see the red flags when they pop up. Some people have a different moral compass and value system than yours and want different things out of a relationship. Some don't believe in honesty or monogamy and simply have a different idea of a relationship is. Many people don't ask the important questions when getting to know someone because they're so excited and often too focused on the sexual part of dating. Different people have different ideals of the roles for a man and a woman in a relationship. I believe that communication is the most important part of a relationship because that's how you find out who that person is and what they believe. Don't get me wrong, I love romance and charm, but I want substance. I want a person to start taking their mask off and let me see who they are. When I start putting all these factors together, there really aren't many fish in the sea at all. But I do believe that there are still quite a few quality men out there, and I can wait on the right one that is ready to build a life with me and put all the other fish back in the sea. I hope that others take the time to find out who they are, and I wish for them as fish. Wait, hold on. Who they are and which fish are right for them because the sea is filled with sharks too. Nasonya, classy lady. And I just, like I said, wrote that because of some stuff I've just gone through, you know what I mean? Because it's like, if I weren't going slow and not focused on getting to know the person and what I want in a relationship, then I would have been so consumed with sexualness too. And I think that's what people do. That's how this guy came at me. And, you know, he liked me and said he wanted a godly woman and all that. But I think that his idea, and he said he never had that. But I guess, you know what, at the end of the day, I guess he came to a crossroad and decided to not do the work and keep being who he was. I guess either that or he's lying. I don't have any idea because people come at you with all kind of stuff and you really just don't know. But that's why I wrote that because it's like I don't want to go to a movie. I want to talk. Let's go with that, have a drink, whatever. I want to talk. I want to see what's going on because what happens is I feel like people just get so excited about, oh, I found someone I like. And I do that too, but then they don't really take the time to see where that person is. And it's disappointing because, like I said, I like that person, and had he done the things he claimed, we probably would have been okay. But I don't know. I guess he's just who he is. I don't know, you know?
Right. So this is 1 Timothy 2:8-10. And I think this is very interesting in light of what you said because you just briefly talked about how men say they want something, but then when you interact with them, it's a whole different story. But it says, so here's what you tell them. Here's what I want to see. Men, pray wherever you are. Reach your holy hands to heaven without rage or conflict, completely open. Women, the same goes for you. Dress properly, modestly, and appropriately. Don't get carried away in grooming your hair or seek beauty in glittering gold, pearls, or expensive clothes. Instead, as is fitting, let good works decorate your true beauty and show that you are a woman who claims reverence for God. So I read that in light of just, seeking out that relationship because I think that spiritual connection first, in light of all of the other attractions, is important, but that's the core from what I'm getting you're saying. You want to talk about that some more in terms of having a spiritual bond and a connection first and foremost that then solidifies every other.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately for me, if I met someone who had a spiritual bond, they didn't have anything else I wanted. I'll keep it real because you know what? If you don't have other things too, it just doesn't work out. And people, I think that's why so many people in the church and stuff cheat because they want to do the right thing as far as seeking a Christian person on paper, but then there's nothing else there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm looking for not, like you said earlier, you can't have all things defined, but I know my problem is not everyone, but I've even gone out with guys who claim they were into the church and maybe they believe they were or they were into God, but I can't tell. I can't tell. They are acting the exact same way as these other guys, you know what I mean? And, like that guy, he talked about God and stuff, and, like I said, he said he'd never had that, but he needed it and he wanted and now knew he needed to have a godly relationship, but I think all he knows is physical, and until you make that decision, like I make the decision, it's not going to just happen on you. There's a lot of hard work that comes involved with making different choices and not doing things the same way you did them before. But we didn't even get that far. I mean, we talked all the time and we got along really well. But at the end of the day, it's just like you just kept being flaky and unreliable. But I meet people who say they are, but I think that they are consumed with the world's ways too, 90% of them. And then you get these other guys, and they're already taken because they did know they needed to find a woman. I think the difference is the perspectives of, okay, you have these guys like the ones who mentored me, who doesn't mean they don't have any sexual urges or look at women and see the same. Let's use someone like Tim Tebow as an example, since that's someone so many people know. People make fun of him and say, "Oh, are you gay?" Blah blah blah. You know, because he's made a choice to look at women in a different way. It doesn't mean he's not attracted to them. It doesn't mean when he sees the same woman, he thinks things, but he's looking for a mate. Right. He already knows that. So his whole perspective on women is to go looking for a right woman when he chooses to get involved. Then you have the men like the ones I've gone out with who are in church who know these things, but they never really put themselves up under it, or something happened negatively, so now they're not really looking for that. Or yeah, probably, or so they're doing the having sex and doing everything the same way everyone else is, and then when you meet them, they treat you like you're being weird or whatever because you're not they're not really looking for, they're looking for someone to be with just like anyone else. And then that's the other people who they're just looking to be with someone, and then if one day it ends up being something, maybe, okay. Right. You know, and I'm looking, unfortunately, for men that are looking for a good woman already, and I think I get some of them who claim that because they know they're not going to even get close to me if they don't claim it. Right. And I don't know if they are or if they meet me and I'm too strong and they're not used to it because that's not something they really were pursuing or have ever dealt with. They're used to women flocking to them and they don't have to do any work for it. Right. So they'll say it, you know, but then you start realizing, you're not keeping your word on something so basic, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I don't have the best experience, so I don't know. Right. I just know what's not how I want to be treated now.
Indeed. And you know, people tend to equate classy with sophistication, but I think that sophistication is worldly. Mm-hmm. And you have a different perspective and your emphasis on modesty. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think that's something that is so
not a carpet bag modesty, though.
Right. I mean, I think there is a healthy balance in everything and moderation. Mm-hmm. So talk about your model. How do you go about carrying yourself in a modest, classy sense?
Well, I mean, some people don't think I do. I've had people attack me.
Too, because you model.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of jobs. Luckily for me, it hasn't been a problem. And luckily for me, the ones that I have been approached with are very modest, regular jobs, Hallmark. You know what I mean? I'm not approached with any swimsuit ad kind of things. My agent, I think because they are a legitimate agent, when I do get things, it isn't all focused on a swimsuit or probably not, because for multiple reasons. I would in the right context, like if we were like, if it like anything else, like I don't watch just anything on TV, but I watch John Wick, but I might watch something else like, oh gosh, that was so violent. Right. But in the right context, like here's a good example. I did a post when I went to California, and I knew what I was doing. I don't even know why I did it, but I knew what I was doing. And I posted these pictures of me at the beach. Man, you must have thought I was running around naked the way these people were acting. And I think it's because they are just so not used to seeing any of my body, you know. But I really made a point of having classy things, classy looks. I wasn't, you know, but they're so not used to seeing me all that some of them really acted a fool. Now, so in the right context, I would. Do they close at 8 or? Okay, well, we'll be finished. In the right context, yeah, but just to be a seductive swimsuit calendar, no. Right. But if it were in the right context for a right reason, properly and classily done, yeah, but just in general, that's not my focus.
Understand. So we are reaching our hour point. I want you just to share any closing thoughts that you may have. So it's just like an open-ended soapbox for you to get on if you want to get on a soapbox. And really just say what your pitch is, you know, what your focus is, how you want to come off with everything that you're now doing?
I just want people to, know that I do this because, I think about maybe if I had even one person that showed me something different, maybe not, I maybe would have made different choices. I just think it's really, really important for people to like follow their dreams. I like to encourage people and motivate people and let people um, see what something they would be passionate about. You and I both work nonprofit jobs, but we have passions about other things, and I just really want to encourage people, to go after what makes them feel good in life. That's in right perspective, and not listen to other people and not let other people's opinions of something, even if it's not. I mean, just like even like you, when I met you, it's like you were really into the word and the Hebrew culture, and I respect that you have that passion for that, and you don't sit there and worry about what everyone else thinks about that. You know what I mean? And so that's really important to me, to kind of encourage other people to do that and find what they are good at, and just to show women in a different light. I want to have more healthy relationships, if possible, between men and women. And I want to be a catalyst for healing in that, and for people to heal and get their self-esteem where it needs to be so that they can just do all that they're meant to do. And that's what I'm trying to do. Through a lot of my struggles, through a lot of my pain, I'm trying to encourage and uplift and support people and to be you and do you.
So how can people get in contact with you? So you're on Facebook?
I'm on Facebook, Nasonya Rowell, Nasonya Rowell, and I have two. The other one is Nasonya Rowell, the Classy Lady Speaks. You can email me. I don't normally give that out yet, but NasonyaRowell@gmail.com. And I have a website that you can look at. It's NasonyaRowell.com. So just working on some things, really doing a lot of posting on Facebook, but I'm going to start trying to transition that into my website and some other things. So we'll have to see.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for your time, sister. Very engaging.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Look forward to all you're doing. So you can tune in to Hebrew Vision News, or Hebrew Vision Live, that's the blog. But Hebrew Vision Live, next week we'll be back with another interview, and we'll just continue to move forward. But do check out Nasonya Rowell and her website, Facebook. You got a YouTube too.
I do. Get on YouTube and put Nasonya Rowell in. Those are all old videos, but still.
It's good information. That's good for the sisters. But thank you for all you do, sister. And thanks again for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
No doubt. Peace and blessings, you all. Signing off.